Hey there, race fans. It's Race Day Top 5 with me, Frank 5. Hot Atlanta. It's hot, it's slick. Drivers get all over the place. High, middle, low grooves. Abrasive racetrack, tires chewing up. But the king of Hot Atlanta, Harvick did all the way to the checkered flag. Number 1, Kevin Harvick picked up his second win of the season, his third career win at Atlanta Motor Speedway, capturing the Folds of Honor QuikTrip 500 today at Atlanta Motor Speedway, winning it over Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Denny Hamlin. Kevin Harvick, what else can you say about him in Atlanta? It's been such a good racetrack for him because he is one of the best at hugging the bottom of the racetrack with that white red line, which is the paint, and when he puts his left side tires down there, it just gives him so much grip. Only Kevin Harvick can do this, and invented the term this week, Harvicking it. Harvicking to the bottom of the racetrack on that white line, keeping the tires on the white paint and applying a lot of grip on the bottom of the racetrack, and it gives you a better launch off the corner and doesn't slow you down whatsoever. Kevin Harvick is one of the best at that, and we've seen in the past at Atlanta, Kevin Harvick has been one of the best drivers. He's been so dominant. But the last couple of years, he has had the best car, yet he doesn't win the race. 2014 led the most laps, didn't win. 2015 led the most laps, didn't win. 2016 led the most laps, didn't win. 2017 led the most laps and didn't win because he got caught for speeding on pit road in the last pit stop. But in 2018, he led the most laps and got the job done, winning the race. His second win in Atlanta. And then last year, he led a couple laps, wasn't completely dominant like he normally is, but still he was strong. And today he was strong towards the end of the race in stage 3. He had the track position, he had good adjustments. Ronnie Childers, who's 44th birthday today, and gave Harvick the right adjustments and good grip, and he carried it all the way to the end and winning the race. His second win, obviously, of the season. His third win at this track, obviously. If you all don't remember, this is where Kevin Harvick picked up his first ever NASCAR win in 2001 at this track. Wild finish against Jeff Gordon, and obviously under difficult circumstances because a couple weeks ago he replaced Dale Earnhardt, who obviously the tragedy of it, he died in the Daytona 500 and Harvick was his replacement. He wasn't trying to replace Dale Earnhardt whatsoever. He was just stepping into the car. They changed the number and he went out and won the race. And after that race, he held up 3 fingers out the driver's side window, saluting Dale Earnhardt. He did that in 2018 when he won the race, and he did it again today, which was pretty spectacular. And did an Alan Kulwicki Polish lap on the victory cooldown lap. So really solid win for Kevin Harvick. He has definitely been fast this year, and he only has one finish outside the top 10, and that was last weekend at Bristol 11. Other than that, Kevin Harvick's just on a roll this year. He's the best car so far. Number 2, Martin Truex Jr. probably was second best to Kevin Harvick, even though he didn't finish second. Truex won his first 2 stages of the season. I know, hard to believe. This is only Truex's first 2 stages of the season because they've been so off at the beginning. They've had so much adversity, even despite good race cars. Last couple weeks, Truex and the team with the new crew chief James Small seem to have turned the program into a different side, and on a good side. He was so good today. He was the second best car to Kevin Harvick. Obviously, the 2 stage wins helped pick up the bonus points. I think Truex and the team are getting closer to getting victory, and who knows, this upcoming race weekend, where he was the last race he won at in NASCAR previously, is this upcoming weekend in Martinsville. Could be Truex time, but still it was a great result for Truex nonetheless. Number 3, Kyle Busch, second place finish, obviously a great result. This was a great performance for the Joe Gibbs cars all day long. They were all up there in the top 10 at one point. Eric Jones had contact with Christopher Bell on the end of stage number 2, ultimately cut the tire, and he had a speeding penalty later. He finished 3 laps down. Not a great day for Eric Jones whatsoever. Kyle Busch still has not won a race yet this year. I know second placing, that's a good result, but Kyle Busch, he hates finishing second more than he loves winning. He just hates to lose. Today, he seemed pretty, generous in his interview. He seemed to be, pretty happy about the performance that him and Adam Stevens put together on his M&M's Brownie Fudge Toyota. But they still haven't won a race yet. So the clock's ticking for Kyle Busch. If you're going to win a race, if you want to be a championship contender and defend your title and get your 3rd ever Cup title, you need to win a race. So clock's ticking Kyle Busch. Even though points-wise you'll make the playoffs, you got to get a win if you want to get momentum before the playoffs start, because we're at June, buddy. Number 4, Kurt Busch, Kyle's older brother. He had an interesting day, to say the very least. Before the race even got started, Kurt Busch failed pre-race tech 3 times, and that's a violation of NASCAR's policy, so they forced him to start the rear. And also with this rule, you have to serve a pass-through after completing the opening lap after you take the green flag. So he fell a lap down. When the competition caution came out, he was the first car, 1 lap down, got his lap back, drove away. It took him time to get up to the front, but he ultimately got there towards the very end, solidified a 6th place run today. Great result for Kurt Busch. He's been consistent this year. Kind of a little bit maybe more consistent than Kyle Busch. Maybe some of the finishes haven't been there for Kurt, but he's had some good race cars this year, and he's had some pretty good luck. So Kurt Busch, he can also hopefully, like Kyle Busch, get a victory and turn a season into hopefully a championship winning year. Kurt Busch, a drive like that today shows consistency on the whole team and through the driver as well. And number 5, how else do I say this? Wow. Tricky today. It was a tricky day for a lot of these guys, especially this is one of the most abrasive racetracks on the NASCAR circuit, probably more abrasive than California. Obviously, this track has been worn out. They have not repaved this place since they introduced, basically reconstructed it all back in the early 90s. They have not repaved this racetrack since. It's old, abrasive. It chews up the tires. Usually the tire window is like 30 to 42 laps. Some of these guys got 50 laps out of these tires today, which was pretty crazy. But also sometimes if you're using the tires too hard, it can ultimately blister them and cause treads or cut it all completely. That happened to Clint Bowyer, who's a really good race car today, other than Kevin Harvick and Truex Jr. Clint Bowyer had 3 right rear tire blisters today. The first 2, he had to pit a little earlier. The first one, the second one was right at the time of a caution towards the end of the stage. Number 2, he was able to capitalize on, he was thankful not to blow a tire. But with about 14 laps to go in the race, Bowyer said, I'm not going to be able to make it to the end of these tires. And lo and behold, he didn't. The right rear tire had cords, and he had to pit. And he finished 20th, 1 lap down. And it was a tricky day for the drivers as far as conditions. It was really hot. It's the hottest race we've had in Atlanta in quite some time. Obviously, the last couple of years, obviously, we ran it in late February, early March. This year, obviously, it was pushed back because of the COVID-19. And a lot of drivers were dehydrated after the race. Bubba Wallace was very dehydrated after finishing 21st. He passed out like twice. He was taken to the medical center. He was totally fine. So yeah, it was a tough day for a lot of these guys. It was hot out there, and they burned some calories. But this is what these drivers showed that they're total athletes by surviving the heat and these tricky track conditions today. So they show that they're true competitors, even if they're not hitting each other like a football game or a hockey game or even basketball sometimes or baseball when you're tagging somebody with the glove and the ball and the hand. These guys are true athletes, and they showed it all today. Driver recap, Chase Elliott. Nice run today. Really nice run. Started on the pole by a random draw. Led the first 26, 27 laps. I don't know really what the graphics say, whether it's 26 or 27 laps. Hung around mostly at the top, 5th to 8th for the most part today. I mean, we were good out front, but when you get back into traffic, it shows that clean air means a complete difference at this racetrack or any racetrack on any given day. We kind of, hung around there for the most part, salvaged an 8th place finish, more a couple stage points. Still have had really good race cars everywhere. I mean, this is obviously his home track and he would have loved to win, but you know what? Still a great effort and a lot better than we had last year because we didn't do well last year, especially with the horsepower package and, the Camaro last year wasn't in our favor. This year they are. So hopefully we'll go into Martinsville this upcoming race, and but Chase Elliott still has having a really good start to the season, and second one of the season is going to come eventually. It could come this week, it could come next week, it doesn't matter. We had a really good start to the season overall. Just want to take a quick moment and say, before the race got started today, NASCAR president, and Atlanta President Ed Clark told the drivers, told them to stop on the front stretches, that we recognize what's going on in the country right now. Obviously, that's been one of the big news this week before this race in the world is what happened to George Floyd. Obviously, everybody probably knows what happened. I don't want to get too political about this. I'm totally against what happened. We have to make some changes. We have to start doing it now, and we have to learn, and we have to be equal. Mike Joy said before the race, the first words of the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And I believe that, and I absolutely 100% agree with that. Everybody in this country is equal. And we have to be equal, and we have to start working together to build stronger equality. It has to happen, and we have to do it together. So that's all I have to say about that. And obviously, Bubba Wallace is part of all this. He's in the middle of this. But anything we can do to help Bubba and the black community, we have to do it right away. So, upcoming week, Martinsville will be racing Wednesday night. First night race in Martinsville. I was supposed to be run on Mother's Day weekend, but obviously because of the pandemic, we're having it this Wednesday night. I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think this year Martinsville race is going to be so much better than last year races last year because nope, you couldn't pass. This year with the short track package, you can pass. You can keep up, and it's going to be a fun one, and I can't wait to see beating and banging on a Wednesday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. So subscribe, like, congratulations to Kevin Harvick, second win of the season, third win in Hotlanta, and until then, see ya.